fire up your Friday.
Fired Up Friday
with Steve Spiro, the Master Connector.
I am Steve Spiro, the Master Connector.
Over the next hour of this Master Connection series, we will take a deep dive into the different ways to connect and network effectively.
See us and hear us right now. So LinkedIn, we are on here. We're getting ready.
Hear from experts along with Steve Spiro, who went from being shy and introverted to the Master Connector.
All right, LinkedIn Live, you know what time it is. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Like, share, shout out your city and state, questions, comments. We want them all. We appreciate and feed off of your energy. I am excited to jump into introductions today. Make sure to let us know where you're tuning in from. We have an amazing lineup of amazing panelists today. Welcome to the show. Let us know where you're tuning in from. I'm going to go ahead and get introductions started. As always, we're going to go to our main host of the show, the man with the plan, the Master Connector himself. Mr. Steve Spiro is a martial arts black belt and a master networker. He has moved from being a shy, introverted kid to the Master Connector he is today. Steve Spiro began his business career starting his first company. It was an advertising company in NYC. He had an incredibly fulfilling career in advertising and marketing, but eventually pivoted to the technology industry. Today, he is a certified customer communications consultant with Quadient, where he consults and mentors companies to help them find more efficient ways to connect with their customers. Steve Spiro believes in the power of mentorship, growing oneself through self-development, and continuing to create meaningful connections through building a large network. Welcome to the stage, the Master Connector, Steve Spiro.
Thank you, Cameron. I appreciate that. Hey, folks, it's Steve Spiro, the Master Connector. And hey, Cameron and I really appreciate you tuning in. So every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern, we come at you with engaging content on how you too can be a Master Connector. So during this Master Connection series, each week, our goal is to gather subject matter experts to impart their wisdom on us. Welcome to the show. So I'm really blessed to have my co-host here, Cameron Toth. Cameron is the host of and founder of BizDev Live. Cameron Toth founded Toth Event Staffing in 2011. Toth Event Staffing is a hospitality company providing staff to caterers, state cafeterias, and catering departments in Westchester, New York, and New York City. BizDev Live was founded in 2020. BizDev Live takes Cameron's entrepreneurship experience and combines it with his passion for helping young people and business-minded professionals. Cameron Toth's mission in life is increasing access to education and opportunity for all people. So please bring to the stage my man, the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain, Mr. Cameron Toth.
Thank you, Steve, for that amazing introduction. I want to shout out all our folks in the comments. We got Mama Spiro checking in from Poughkeepsie. We got Scott Tortor. I'm going to murder this last name. Forgive me, Scott. Scott Tortoriki from Greenwich, Connecticut. Jeff from Toronto, Canada, checking in. Jeff W. in the house. Go to StreamYard.com/Facebook. If your face is not showing up in the comments, we'll get you in there. I'll drop that link in there. A.B. Gabor checking in. We know him. Great afternoon from White Plains. Jeff Dyer, I don't know who you're talking about. I'll assume you're talking about Steven. He's good looking too. Checking in from Yonkers, New York, Chris Januski. Thanks for checking in, Chris. Keep the comments coming. We want to know where you're tuning in from. Love hearing it every week. We have such reach, so many people that registered for the event today. We want your questions. We want your comments. We feed off your energy. The more specific the question, the more I know we, the panel, can help you. Checking in. All right, here we go. I'm going to start introducing our folks. We're going to go over to Mr. Bob DePasquale. Here we go. Bob DePasquale. Bob is an advocate of stewardship. He has always believed in taking care of the things that he's been blessed with. It is his mission to help others in doing the same. Bob's perspective derives from a battle with cancer at age 18 after growing up an only child. It wasn't until he was legally an adult that he felt alone. Having his life threatened at such a young age led to a unique view of the gift that is vitality. It is a unique purpose to spread this message and partner with people, families, and communities to foster a culture of growth and fulfillment. Please welcome to the show the awesome Bob DePasquale.
Morning, Cameron. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for being here, Bob. We appreciate you. All right, we're going to go over to DeeJae DuRante. All right. DeeJae DuRante is a disability navigator, mental health mentor, Air Force veteran, and Mayhem live streamer. DeeJae supports breaking stigmas, encouraging us accessibility, diversification, and inclusion in our communities. DeeJae says everyone deserves a chance to be validated, to contribute, and to have opportunities to succeed. DeeJae's core values are to serve community, empower individuals, create connections, create intentional actions, and make a little mayhem. DeeJae enjoys live music, yoga, paddleboarding, and butterfly gardening. Please welcome to the show the dangerously dynamic DeeJae DuRante. You want to say a few words? Go ahead, DeeJae.
Thank you so much. I didn't know we were gonna.
Yeah, I just want to give you a little opportunity to get the voice in.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be part of this panel today. I have this amazing conversation on the power of the mind. I think it's going to be fire. I think it's going to be exciting. I think we're going to have lots of really good conversation and share some really interesting perspectives today. So thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go over to Julian. Julian, is it Sado or Sado? Tell me, correct me if I'm before
it doesn't matter. It's Sado.
Sado, thank you very much. Julian Sado, from Hollywood talent agent to celebrity kickboxing instructor to corporate consultant, Julian is an author, NLP practitioner, and executive coach who has worked with some of the top C-suite influencers of today, known as the neurohacker, combining basic neuroscience, behavioral coaching, NLP, and what we call emotional intelligence, pivoting the subconscious stories, transforming thoughts that inhibit change. His ultimate goal is to inspire people to take a street smart approach to pivot their lives and change for the better. Julian's academic career includes work on the poverty and psychology for UCLA, worked on his Master of Arts in Biblical Studies from the Masters University in Southern California, and is an ongoing student of Dr. Joe Dispenza's progressive workshops on neuroscience. He is also an alumni of the Executive Coaching University and a member of the American Hypnosis Association. Julian holds certifications with Sin Delaney, Center for Business Solutions and Situational Leadership through the Ken Blanchard Companies. Welcome to the stage, the stupendous, the tremendous Julian Sado.
I am honored. Thank you for letting me be here. I appreciate the time and I look forward to the conversation.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. We're going to fly over to Miss Liz Gabor. Elizabeth Gabor. Liz creates and runs personal development and peak performance programs to provide practical solutions to current challenges, as well as the tools to design and live an inspired life. She also provides customized life improvement coaching to individuals. Liz is also a certified Kundalini yoga and meditation instructor, providing this remarkably effective yogic technology to further help people bring balance to body, mind, and spirit. Her most current focus is on creating a community and a sisterhood of women who remind each other that all of their dreams and desires are possible. Liz's mission is to create a subculture of wellness, the ageless goddess vibe tribe, whose light shines so brightly in the world, thus raising her individual vibration and the collective vibration. Her vision is for this to become a global movement to transform the current false paradigm of aging for women equals decline, deterioration, disease, consciousness, to one of ageless goddess equals vitality, ease, wisdom, sexy, radiant, grace-filled, fierce, kind, enthusiastic, raw, creative, power consciousness. Right on for the topic today. Welcome to the show, the absolutely electrifying Elizabeth Gabor.
Hey guys, thank you so much. I want you to introduce me like every day. That was so much fun. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Oh, we have a lot of fun with the introductions here, and we have so many people checking in the audience. So I'm going to try to go through all this. Forgive me, folks, as I go through. We got a lot of comments, and I love it. We got Juana from Albuquerque checking in, Vcash checking in, saying hello. Luann from Connecticut, Alan Greenwald in the house, Ardsley in the house, Jihan checking in, Juana saying hello, Randy McNeely, hello. He's a kindness officer. I like his title there. Savor the flavor of the awesomeness. And you peeps from Kenneth Dunner checking in. All right. We got more comments coming in from Jihan. Yay. Kenneth Dunner checking in. Lori Knudsen, greetings from Charlotte, North Carolina. Trying to flow through all of these as we're going here. Steve Spiro checking in as well on the comments. All right. And Tina Cadis checking in. DeeJae checking in on the back end. Tina just tuning in from Connecticut. We got some of our Connecticut peeps in the house today. John Voss checking in from ATL Atlanta. Thank you. Kiana Fuller from Dallas, Texas. Paula Lucas checking in for NYC, our bartender on duty. When we're done here, we'll go get a drink with Paula. Rivcat checking in here from Reston, Virginia. Oh man, we got a lot of folks checking in, Steve. It's a good show. Steve, get us started off on the topic today. I know the first question that we want to throw at everybody was what does this whole topic mean to you? What does unlocking the power of the mind mean to you? So get us started off, Steve. And then for all my panelists on the back end, use that private chat like we were talking about and call next. Go ahead, Steve. Absolutely.
And I appreciate everyone being on here. I appreciate the viewers. Mama, it's good to see you on as usual, and everyone else that Cameron shouted out. And a special thanks to all the panelists. I'm super excited. By the way, stay tuned because we have a surprise guest coming on. So please stay tuned. I won't say who it is, but you guys are going to be pleased as well. But we have an incredible 4 panelists on here. And of course, the MC himself, the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain, Mr. Cameron Toth, doing all the stuff he does. There he is there. But appreciate you, sir. You were the magic man, right? By the way, I would love to be introduced as sexy like Liz did. So maybe I could get my wife to do an introduction for me or something. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, this is a great topic. And, I don't know. There's so much we could talk about this. And honestly, I'm really looking forward to hearing what the panelists have to say on this. But, I've learned a lot in the last, since I finally, things changed for me in my life. Initially getting into the martial arts, having that transformation and what it did for me, both mentally, spiritually, and physically, to then eventually finding someone in my life that became a mentor, kind of got me on this self-development path. And I started to see the power of the brain, the power of the mind. And, I don't know what the exact specifics are. They say maybe 10% of the brain capacity. I've heard, I think Julian says it might be more than that, but we don't use all of our brain capacity. And there's so much amazing. The brain is amazing. It's got so many things that it could do for us. And to me, it's a computer, and we can program it. But we also, we can create our future, our destiny for ourselves, utilizing it properly. So it's an incredible topic. I think there's so many directions we can go here. But I believe that everybody on this call, including the panelists themselves, we're all kind of not struggling with, but we're all curious to know, how could we really leverage the brain? How can we unlock the power of our mind and really see ourselves to become the best version of ourselves we can be, right? As for me, and I'll talk about it a lot, that my mission on this planet is to be the light and to inspire people. So hopefully the show today will really inspire you to really embrace and your brain and how you're programming it, and maybe in some cases programming it by default by not programming it, right? Through TV and media and social media and all the things we do, right? But hopefully this will inspire you to be the best version of you in the future. So appreciate everyone, and I can't wait to hear what everyone has to say.
I know Bob wanted to jump in first. So Bob, lead us off here. And we really want to hear from you in the audience. We want your questions. We want your comments. What does the power of the mind mean to you? Go ahead, Bob.
I'd love to hear from the hundreds of people, thousands of people that are probably joining us out there. But this topic means a lot to me because I've had experiences in my life where I kind of felt like Steve was saying, I've kind of trained my mind by doing nothing, when I found that the human mind is super powerful and it can do a lot. I don't know if you've ever read the book called Atomic Habits by James Clear, but there's some incredible advice in there on how to train your brain to be habitual in great things. And I believe strongly that we all have some kind of purpose or passion, something that we're really, really good at, that if we can train ourselves to do it habitually, we can make great things happen in the world. So as business owners, as leaders, as master connectors, I would encourage you to habitually use the things that you're great at.
I love that. As I click through buttons here, Julian, I know you wanted to jump in. And then, guys, remember the private chat. Let me know who wants to jump in next. Julian, go ahead.
Yeah, it's interesting. I love what Bob just said, because, we've learned so much in the most recent years. Consider that we used to have Newtonian physics, which is really about things we could measure and see. And now we have quantum physics, which is really about things we can't see. And now we're able to literally map the brain, and we see the plasticity of the brain that we never seen before, that we realize that we can still grow new nerve cells and new development of the way we think and remap the way that we operate. And I think it's interesting that, we're the only creature on the planet that has a neocortex that is literally 40% of our brain, which no other creature on the planet has that, which is the conscious self. We have the ability to think, I want to go left, I want to go right, I want to go to college, I want to change my life, I want to do something different, I want to break through these traumas I've had. We're the only creature that can do that. And so that power of the brain is one of the most, I say, God-given gifts that we have. And now we see this, we're almost shifting to a spiritual science, if you will, and is bleeding into leadership, is bleeding into corporate America, is bleeding into people's abilities to break through some of the barriers that we used to think were genetic in nature. So I think that's what the power of the mind is to me. Thank you.
Love that, Julian. All right, Liz, I know you wanted to jump in, and then DeeJae. Go ahead, Liz.
Sure. Yeah, I agree with Julian. I mean, I think it's such an exciting time to be alive right now, because I think there is so much that we are facing such an amazing paradigm shift where we're able to assign neuroscience, mysticism, all these things are coming together. So I think it's really exciting. As far as the power of the mind, I definitely believe that, at least for myself and for everyone, we're all programmed at a really young age to believe things about ourselves. And a lot of those things that we're programmed are negative. So we have to go in and, like Steve was saying, reprogram ourselves. And, some of the ways we can do that really is through, our environment. Who do we surround ourselves with? Because, we're not going to, if we're surrounding ourselves with lots of negative people, even if we have a great attitude about things, because we have this law of conformity, we're going to end up bringing ourselves down. So that's really important in order to keep our mind sharp and working at the highest percentage, I think. And also, what we take in. So to keep our mind at that critical, intelligent level, don't be taking in all the bad stuff. Don't be watching that, CNN constant negative news stuff, or being around people who are negative. And focus on the things focus on the good, first of all, and choose what you want to focus on. When you start to go away from your true north, turn that compass back. So I think we are much more powerful than we think. And yeah. Thank you.
All right. DeeJae, I know you wanted to jump in.
Sure. I was just going to go ahead and just continue the conversation. I think there were some really great points made that I really agree with. Julian talked about quantum physics and neurosciences, and I really do believe in that and follow that. I think that there's definitely another level we can take our minds to, but it takes practice. It's not the easiest path to really take. You have to really start within yourself and look at what your belief systems are. I think there has to be an openness about it, that you have to welcome to allow things to really happen in that type of space, that other metaphysical space. But it really does take work. I think there's a positive world out there that you can tap into and kind of leave this 3D world that is really subjected to negativity and trauma and all the things that I represent with the mayhem type of branding, everything, all the struggles, the pain points, the chronic everything that we have to go through, all the societal abuses that are out there. So really to be able to take your mind to that place is something that should be explored. It should be talked about, and more conversations need to happen to encourage others that it's okay to talk about that. It's not the woo-woo that people sometimes call it. That's my point.
Yeah, I love that. Steve, I'd love to get where you kind of want to go, because I know we got some back channel talk in the back, but I'll say this because the next question on my list has to do with, how have you sort of found ways to unlock your mind potential? When I was thinking of this topic, I was actually thinking of Liz and some of the exercises we did when you came on BizDev Live, and maybe some of the other presentations that we've done through Master Networks and things, and events where I've been and where we sat and we just got clear and got quiet, right? And so this next question, when have you sort of taken the moment to unlock the mind and had some sort of breakthrough Steve, I know you can always jump in first, so love to get your piece on this, and then folks on the panel, let me know who wants to jump in next on this. But when have you had a moment where you sort of made a breakthrough and it sort of dawned on you, man, this is the way. This is what it is, that this is how you unlock the power. This is how I've unlocked the power. This is how I've created change for me. Go ahead, Steve.
So I'd love to tell you that there was that, that aha moment or that like magic moment, but I don't think it was for me. Right. It's for me, it's been a steady reprogramming. In the back channel, there was a lot of chatter about self-talk, and that's been an incredible part of it. Right. For some of you guys know that in the past, and I need to be even more conscious about it, because I tend to say I am, and I'm going to fix that and say I used to be a very shy, introverted. I was picked on, I bullied, learning disabled, dyslexic, and my mom is on the show, so she could validate it. I was definitely my default was to be in front of a TV and just lock myself in my room when I was growing up, and so I had to really reprogram, and it took a long time for me to get to the place where I was actually comfortable with myself, and I did I think it was a really cool Fire to Friday video this morning. Talked about, there's power, life and death is in the tongue. And, the tongue is the way we reprogram. It's the self-talk. It's, I talked about how the fact is that, I was on with we were on a group call with somebody, and they were playing his voicemail. And he's like, that's not me. Did somebody put a filter on my voice? And that's because we hear our own voice actually through our inner ear. It's inside. It's not the same way we hear it from the outer ear, like most people hear others' voices. And that inner ear, in the way, and what I've been taught and what I've read and learned, is that inner ear and how we're hearing ourselves. It's actually going into our subconscious more effectively and going in there and rewiring and reprogramming. But it doesn't happen overnight. It's not like you could just say it once and it's done. It's got to recreate that programming. It's got to create new grooves. And I know Julian and some of the other speakers on the panel here could talk to that even better. But it's so cool that we have the ability. This is the keyboard to the computer. This is the computer. This is the keyboard, and we could program it. So once I understood that, and so maybe again, I don't know how long it took me to understand the power of the tongue, but it really allowed me to now start the process of reshaping who I was. Certainly still have pieces of me that still want to be more to myself, but now I can talk to anybody. I can speak live on this. I can, I've talked before in front of thousands of people, and it's not a problem. It's not a big deal because I've been able to reprogram my brain. So I'm curious to hear what everyone else has to say on this topic.
I'm going to go over to Julian. I just wanted to shout out some folks in the audience. Jeff, typing in here, here's a must-read book. And we've mentioned on this show before, so I think, these books, I know Atomic Habits is coming up in the comments. Really great book. I really recommend that. We've recommended this book as well by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. Jeff shouting that out. I wanted to give Steve his due. Chris is saying, great Fired Up Friday today. And Kiana Fuller writes, we're often at war within our own minds regarding our true north and direction. It is time to reset. We owe it to ourselves. And I think a lot of this power of mind, at least where I'm coming from on the topic, is really getting to that true north and quieting all the outside inputs so that you can actually get there, right? Julian, go ahead.
Yeah, it's great because I love what Steve was talking about, and I love when he was talking about the keyboard, which is a great visual. But, I'm going to bring up what Jeff said. I think it was Jeff that talked about Think and Grow Rich. A lot of people don't know that book was a re-edit of the original manuscript called The Law of Success in 16 Lessons. And when Napoleon Hill gave that book to those people like Firestone and Winston and Rockefeller and all those people, what happened was they told him not to publish it because it gave away literally too many secrets to how they operated and how they thought. And you'd be surprised to find out that they didn't study business. These people studied Mesopotamian knowledge, Egyptian knowledge, esoterical knowledge. They studied how the brain works, the mind works, and spirituality works within the body. And they understood that was the part of success that was separate from all the other people. They looked beyond the physical and they looked into the energetic self. And that book is now published. It's actually written on typewriter. It is the most time machine book you can ever go in because in those days he had a typewriter. So if he made a mistake, he left it. So you would see some typos in it. It's an amazing book on the way humans operate. So Think and Grow Rich is really a subset, like a little mini version of the Law of Success in 16 Lessons. I think you can get it, and it's called, in the complete version, it's called Complete, but it's an amazing book. But back to what Steve was saying, that's why NLP is so powerful in behavioral science, because we all have emotional triggers from childhood that represent our filters and our perceptions. And so what you tell yourself subconsciously is really hard for us to hear, because our ego is part of that subconscious and is there to protect us from that pain that we felt before. So use somebody who wants to be successful, they want to be rich, they want to make money, but yet they feel like they are not deserving, are unworthy. That unworthiness from some childhood trigger will always be there, and it will disguise itself with, I'm too busy, I have this to do, I might have to sit down because I'm tired. Really, the key is you're not feeling worthy to push through to get to where you want to be. And so that's what really happens in our brain. So I think what we've done in our society is resold how easy it is to change the mind. But the real key is not to take it easy, but to really push through the shadow self, that negativity, that thing you hardly ever hear, but it's actually really what's driving your behaviors. You have to sit back and look at those things. And it takes time. To what Steve was saying, it takes effort, and is not an end result like a movie. There's no the end and happily ever after. It is an ongoing journey, and it never stops. That's part of the life journey, is growing, learning and growing, learning and growing, and unlearning. So I think it's great. So yeah, that's a great book. I just wanted to bring it up because I like the fact that you brought up Think and Grow Rich.
Really powerful. And it's interesting that so much, we're in the mind talk and books are coming up so much, because I think that really is one of those keys to the mind, right? Is the books. We had great comments from Kiana, I think I'm saying the name right. Hopefully I'm not mispronouncing it. Kiana Fuller in the comments here. It's so important to pour this into our children, especially those currently in the programming age, 2 to 10, how powerful they will be. Yolanda checking in the show, saying she agrees. It's interesting. I feel like books are really one of these things that really open us up, provide that ability to empathize with others, which, whether you're a leader, whether you're working with others, whether you're educating yourself, that empathy thing is so big. I got a long comment from Randy here. I'm going to read it. Comes down to having a captain's mindset. One of the greatest gifts we have as human beings, possibly the greatest gift, is the ability to choose. We're not driven like brute beasts merely to act on instinct, but we have the ability to think and reason and make conscious choices about what we will or won't do. We have the opportunity to govern our minds, notwithstanding the circumstances in which we find ourselves. That is powerful, right? We have the power to turn off some of the outside inputs as well that kind of distract us from getting to our power, right? I think that's huge. Liz, I know you want to jump in. Go ahead, Liz.
Sure. I love that. We have free will. That's beautiful. So, for me, I did not learn, how to free my mind from the negative and all the self-talk until I was 35 years old, and I went on a retreat. And I literally, in the first hour laying down in meditation, I got up and I was like, wow, like I don't have anxiety in this moment, in this present moment. And I became a major student of meditation, because again, like when you're just present and you're not listening to those voices, it's just a peaceful place to be. But again, it's a practice I do every day. And I think that, yes, we have those programs in us from when we were a child. And I have many of them that were programmed into me to make me feel not so great about myself. But as I got older, and really with the tools for meditation, yoga, and the coaching that I learned, I was able to question those things that were programmed into me and say, are they really true? And find out to really believe that they really weren't true. And that's where I was able to let go of them. So it's questioning, what these things that we think about ourselves that are not serving us, and to question and see, if they're really false, because usually they are some story that we've told ourselves, and it becomes a habit of believing that about ourselves. And so again, choosing again, and practicing a lot of self-care and a lot of breathing and coming back to your senses. And then even the introspection, where it's, what you're sensing in your body, becoming aware of what you're feeling in your body, where you're feeling it. And there's a lot of practices that help with that.
I love it. And I think this is the time, Steve. I think this is our moment here to bring in our powerhouse that this is the right topic for him. So I'm going to bring him up on the screen here, Mr. Adam James. Adam James is the founder and president of Rainbow Warrior Martial Arts, and he teaches private lessons, seminars, and consultation. Adam is a 10th level instructor from Grandmaster Leo Fong in the styles of Wei, Kwendo, Che Feng, and modern Eskrima. And he's also 5th degree black belt in Kempo, Karate, Jiu-Jitsu, and Kobudo under Professor Michael Della Vega. In addition, Adam is the former director of World Black Belt, a martial arts website company founded by Chuck Norris, Bob Wall, Gene LaBelle, and 50 of the world's greatest martial artists. In addition, Adam is the vice president of the National College of Exercise Professionals and the creator of the NCEP Rainbow Warrior Martial Arts MMA Trainer Certification program, which he has taught in Hawaii, New York City, and at Gokur's MMA Academy in North Hollywood. Adam is certified as an advanced trainer by NCEP, as well as by the National Academy of Sports Medicine, USA Gymnastics, and Hawaii Special Olympics. Please welcome to the show our special guest today, somebody who is at home in this conversation with Mind Over Body, Mr. Adam James. Talk to us.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. What a terrific conversation, and I applaud everybody for being here today and participating. I would just like to share a little bit about mind training from my background, what I've learned over the years. I was very blessed to have learned from Professor Michael Della Vega of the Hawaii Shinkan, Okinawan Kempo Karate dojos. The name Shinkan literally means mind power. So the training that I grew up in martial arts focused on, and the basis of which was the training of the mind, the body, and the spirit, and unifying those. So we developed some very specific exercises or training principles. Just as you would train your body with, exercise like running and lifting weights and various sports and activities, you can do so with your mind. And later I started working with the National College of Exercise Professionals, NCEP. We're one of the leading experts in the fitness industry for training personal trainers and nutritionists and other people in that industry. And one of the things that we teach in the personal training curriculum is attitude training or mind training, because it's the most critical component of achieving success and change. Whether you're trying to lose weight, learn a new sport, change the direction of your career in life, it all starts with your attitude and what you're thinking. So we have some very specific exercises. The number one, it starts with meditation. It's like with a computer, if you want to reprogram it, you got to first start by eliminating the old programming. And so meditation is a critical component of just starting from the still pond.
And Adam, I just wanted to capture the head nodding. I think, as you said, meditation. I think we got to definitely devote some time just to the different ways. I'd love to kind of go round robin around the room and talk about the different ways, because I know I have my way of sort of centering myself and may be a little bit different from somebody else's. Continue, Mr. James, but I just wanted to make sure we captured the head nodding around the room there.
Absolutely. The moment of silence is so important for our lives. We're so busy today. We have so many different inputs coming at us, different stimulus, that taking time to settle our mind is so important. And the analogy that is often used in the martial arts is the pond. And when the pond has got choppy water, waves, if you were to throw a stone into that pond, just like you're putting in a new thought, a new idea, it would have almost no effect. You'd almost see nothing when that stone hit the water. But if the pond can be settled and calm, when you throw that stone in, the ripple will extend out and fill the entire pond. So too with our thoughts. When our mind is still, a new stimulus, a new thought will have a tremendous effect, because we're clear in our thinking and calm in our mind. So one of the things that you just asked, Cameron, is to go around the group and ask, what techniques do we use for meditation to achieve stillness? Would you like to do that real quick? Go around, get some comments.
Yes, please. Yeah, I'm always catching me pushing buttons. So here we go. All right. So as we go around here, love to get everybody's, and I'll go first, and then you guys can hit me in the private chat and let me know who wants to jump in next. But I know for me, the way I get myself centered is first thing in the morning, getting out the door and getting the exercise in. It's usually taking place on a mountain bike going down the Bronx River Trail, but I spent an hour doing that ride, and I take in a podcast. I will read a book. Sometimes I'll go quiet and just kind of let my thoughts be with me. And that sort of lets me get into a place where I can take in nature, sort of let go whatever tiredness, whatever kind of mental stress energy that I have, it goes into the bike, goes into the exercise. I automatically feel better about myself because I'm getting that exercise in. If I'm getting the book and the podcast, I got a little bit more information that doesn't have to do with my daily grind of emails and whatnot on the computer. That is how I center myself. So I know I got folks in the comments here. Liz Gabor says, "Be the still pond." I love it. Bob, go ahead.
First of all, that's quite an impressive resume there, Adam. So it sounds like you have quite a bit of knowledge in this space. I think for me, Cameron, I'm glad you brought up the physical exercise aspect of it, because I really have two routines that I try to employ on a daily basis. And one of them is physical exercise. And I used to be an athlete. And so exercise was almost work, right? You had to be consistently doing that exercise, and it was mentally challenging to track yourself and understand where you're at, and hopefully you're making progress. But now it's a little bit different. Now it really takes the mental work out of exercising. So just exerting myself helps me take my mind off of all the things that related to work and business and professional and connect. It's such a freeing experience to stress yourself in one fashion so that the other part of your body can rest. So number one is exercise for me, absolutely. And then the other, and that could take an hour a day, could take 2 hours, depending on what kind of workout I'm doing. But the other thing that I do is every morning when I wake up, the first thing I do before I pick up my phone, before I go to the bathroom, I'm still laying in bed. The first thing I do is try to count the things in my life that are blessings, the things that are positive. And that helps me determine the direction for my day. I know the things that are going well, I'm going to make sure that I think about those and concentrate on those throughout the day so that I have a positive experience. Does it work perfectly every time? Absolutely not. But I think you'd be surprised. And someone brought up earlier in our conversation about how important it is to practice things and do things repetitively. Well, I heard a quote the other day from a friend of mine, Mark Lassini, who's a high performance mind coach. And he was talking about how consistency and continuity equals success. So you want to do things over and over again, and you want to have continuity within them as well. So you don't want to do it in kind of the same way every morning or kind of the same way every day. You want to do it in the same exact way to develop those positive habits, and that clears your mind on a consistent basis. So my mind knows when I wake up that this is time to clear. It's not time to get bombarded with messages and overstimulation in our digital world. So continuity and consistency will help you get there.
I love that. Again, I mean, going back to the atomic habits thing, right? So big, right?
Mm-hmm.
Getting those habits down, those healthy habits that are just going to reinforce it, make it easy for you to do. Such a big deal. I love that a lot. I love that a lot. All right. Steve, did you want to jump in here?
Yeah,
and then Julian?
Sure. I absolutely can. And thanks for everyone's, Adam, thanks for taking us to this direction. It's great. I'm going to tell a little bit of a story, a little bit about my background. So, I before I got into martial arts, I actually did about 3.5 years of pretty serious tennis. I was actually second singles on my tennis team in high school. Pretty involved. I was like, pretty much 5 or 6 days a week, six hours a day. It was pretty intense. And I started doing tournaments, and I was choking. Like I was playing people that I should have easily beat them 6-1 or 6-love, and they were beating me. And it was mental. I mean, I was in my head big time. There was no stillness. There was no still pond, Adam, in my brain. It was all over the place, thinking about what about this, or what about that, or what are they thinking about? What all that. It's crazy. And then I wound up shifting gears. I started going to the martial arts, and then I came back, and not permanently, but I came back to play. And honestly, it was different. I actually wound up playing a tennis pro. He's a pro. I mean, he was pro, like as in like a teacher, instructor. And I beat him. Now, I don't know if he was being nice to me and giving me the game. I don't know, but I definitely played really well, and that continued. And it was because I started to be able to understand the power of stilling the mind and going. There's a great movie I've talked about a few times. It's The Last Samurai. Tom Cruise, whether you believe in his philosophy or whatnot, and him as a person, the movie's tremendous about the samurai culture. And then there's a point of the movie where he's getting his butt kicked when he's practicing with the katana, I think it's called, the wooden sword. and he's getting his butt kicked, and the man that he's helping, his interpreter, says to him, he doesn't say it in Japanese, but I happen to know the word, which is mushin, which is no mind, empty mind, right? And then, you know, that was the beginning of how he was able to get better. And I've tried to apply that in all parts of my life, that mushin, that no mind, that just sort of be in the moment and don't overthink things, and try to still my mind. So specifically, some of the techniques that I've been able to do is, while I'm stretching, I actually have a self-talk script that I go through that I've crafted, which covers all sorts of part of my life. I also do some actual meditation, but while I'm meditating, I have a movie that plays. It's creative visualization that's playing of something I'm looking to accomplish. It's visually, it's a story, a movie that's going on. So those are some things that I'm doing personally. I love taking walks and let the mind kind of go still and just experience. But those are, it's so important to keep the mind still and to be in the moment, be in the here and now. I mean, I'm not a Zen Buddhist, but I do believe in the philosophy of that sort of be here and now. So that was what I wanted to share.
Excellent. If I may,
looking at my face.
Yes,
there it is.
Well, outstanding. If I may,
I was trying to be clever and throw the visual of the too many mind here into the screen here. So we got this scene, and I love that too. It's a great piece. I know Julian wanted to jump in. Adam, were you saying something?
Oh, let's get Julian's comment, and then yes, I'd like to just share some more about meditation before we move to the next exercise, because this is one of only 5.
All right, jump in, Julian.
Great. Well, I love what Steve was saying, but, you know, meditation is single-mindedness. It's really being able to stop yourself from flipping all over the place, which really creates a stress in the body. So what we're trying to do is eliminate the stress. And I don't like to use the word try, but when we do this, we eliminate the stress. And so just recently, HeartMath found out, and this always been there, but they found there's 40,000 brain-like cells in the heart. And so when we have mindfulness, we're able to settle our heart, our rhythmic heart rate changes, our breathing changes. And so that's why I find that, you know, breathing is one of the most important things. We don't realize how much we hold our breath. We don't realize how much the autonomic nervous system actually operates. But for me, to the question, you know, meditation for me, I get up just as early. I get up around 4:11 or 4:20 every morning, but I don't have a set routine. Bob has a routine, I think, and Steve was talking about a routine, but I have several modalities that I can choose from each morning. That way I'm going with what I'm feeling instinctively to do. It might be journaling, it might be reading, it might be listening to a certain meditation. It might just be meditating, listening to nothing at all. But I do take my quiet time, and then I do, to Steve's point, I do actually exercise, because exercise is actually creating acetylcholine in the brain, which is really going to help develop the dopamine in the body, which helps your thinking and helps your brain to metabolize all the stresses you have. And I think that's a really important part. And being that we've been stationary for so long in this COVID year we've had, we really have to understand that sometimes just getting up and just making a step towards the door is still an achievement. And you do that until you feel like going to the next step, because your body will respond to those efforts. Your brain will respond to those efforts. So the goal is to get that BDNF, brain-derived neurotropic factors, in there. Because I was a kickboxer, and my teachers, and I was a martial artist, but I got focused on kickboxing because it was just a sport that I just leaned into. But what my teacher, my sensei, taught me was to lean in to the things that you're uncomfortable with. Because when you lean in, you realize their thoughts are greater than the reality. And so the thoughts are always there to protect some false sense of reality. So leaning into what is uncomfortable, you realize that it really wasn't uncomfortable. It was just new. And so that's one thing that I always put in my paradigm when I'm thinking. But one more thing real quick, Steve, I have this thing, and I ask people to always reach out to me after they try this, and it's called No-So 24. And I ask people to literally cut out all radio, all TV, all news, all music, unless it's classical to jazz, for 24 hours. Literally go without your phone, with any social media, anything, for 24 hours. And tell me what happened. What came to your mind? What thoughts? How did it feel? Because I want people to realize that they never really stop thinking or hearing the subliminal messages about how they don't measure up, how they need to get this, how they need to get that, how they need to hurry up and do this. That creates stress. And so people don't realize they're living like this all the time. And then when they have 24 hours of it, they're like, oh, it comes down, and they don't realize that. So I ask people to try that. And I'd love to hear somebody reach out to me and tell me what they did. So thanks.
Yeah, definitely reach out to Julian. I'm going to let Julian and then Liz DeeJae and then Liz get in here, and then we'll go back to Adam, and I'll let you kind of lead it. And so we get the round robin of everybody's input on these things. DeeJae, go ahead. And we do have a question I want you to address. I think this is Marcy V, who's saying, when I go out and listen to the trees talk, can that count as a form of meditation? I would say yes. I'll let the ladies jump in on this as well. Go ahead, DeeJae.
Thank you so much. Let me know if you can hear me. If this sounds a little better. I moved the mic up a little closer.
We can hear you. It's just a little low. Yeah.
Okay, great. I think I'm going to tap on a couple things. So I'm just going to go the aha moment for me. I think I've had one really good one where I realized like this was just this, and there's so much more than what you feel, you touch, you can see when you tap into the power of the brain. So for me, that aha moment really got me to understand that the 3D world is just that 3Ds, and that's your interpretation of what you have immediately around you. I also wanted to say something about the consciousness, and something I heard recently. I would love to know who said it, where I got it from, but it stuck with me, was that the subconscious is actually more active than our conscious. And it really took me a lot of time to sit and think about that. And I'm like, okay, our subconscious is actually working right while we're consciously thinking that we're working. So I had to really sit, and I'd like to hear some feedback on that from the panel. Reframing, I find that very powerful, something I'm currently doing. Changing the inner language to myself, something that I practice, because it's really important to do that for the power of the mind, is to catch yourself. Even when I live stream, it's always catching myself, even if it's on air. The way I talk, I like that. Julian talked about the word try, and something that I'm trying to take out of my own language. So there you go. Learning and unlearning. I like the unlearning part, because that's such a big part. It's like, well, we want to learn, we got to learn, we got to learn. But then we forgot to mention, there's things we have to unlearn. And what are those things? Identifying those things. Silence, very powerful, really embracing silence. I know that can be very difficult for a lot of people that have been through trauma and that deal with trauma. So that can be a really difficult area. And I think that's it. Energetic self. I love that term, and something that I really need to embrace more, because I really didn't know how to express that. But I really work from an energy perspective, and in all my work through social services with individuals, it's always been on an energetic level, unknowingly. Thank you.
I got to imagine that perspective with working with people. I mean, you got folks that have medical issues, but we know that the mind is connected to the body. And I've spoken to people that through yoga and meditation, they've done things with their body that medical science just is not caught up with. They couldn't give them a pill, they couldn't give them a surgery, but by focusing and getting clear and really getting into a space of movement with yoga, I think great transition to move over to Liz with. Liz, talk to us. How do you meditate? How do you get quiet?
Yeah, well, as I said, from that first time that I meditated, I've been meditating ever since, and I've done many different types. So, I would just say to the audience to try different things, because not everybody, some people need to do movement meditations, and that's fine too. But the thing that anybody can do, because we all breathe, is to try to do a 1 minute to start of breath work. Just breathing in and just taking deep breaths fully. We all breathe. Most of us breathe very, very shallow. We're not taking in the oxygen that our lungs need to regenerate and get stronger. And I do lots of things all during the day. A minute here, a minute there. nature for me too. I call it forest therapy. I hug the trees. I watch them dance. I move to them. I listen to
we have a lot of people commenting about that in the comments, by the way. People talking about nature, whether it's trees, whether it's talking about the sea, but a lot of people are talking in the comments today about that's their way. They get out with nature. I think it's something really empowering to mention to folks that this is a good way to do it. You don't have to pull out the yoga mat and be in your closet or the middle of your living room. Like there's different ways to do this, right?
And it's also a great way to notice how abundant the universe is. If you just look at a tree, you look at the flowers, you look at the grass, and we're a part of it all. So, if you're feeling any kind of feelings of scarcity, go out to nature and look around with wonder and with a beginner's mind. And I was going to say to Julian's point when he was saying to take 24 hours, if you don't like jazz or classical music, after 24 hours, you'll be programmed to like it. Because
could change your brain, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Cameron, I'd like to just talk to the silence, and that was great, Liz. Somehow your camera's not doing so great, but we're hearing you. Thank God for that.
Yeah, we got the audio. We're all good.
Yeah. But I want to just say, so for some of us, and I probably am one of those people, getting myself to turn off media is probably challenging. So what I did, and this was a life-changing experience, I went to, it was like probably a 2.5-hour drive. I went to this facility. It was a meditation retreat. It was amazing. And the requirement was you're supposed to keep your phone, in your car, and so I literally went, I think it was 4 days with no phone. And here's the other part. We weren't allowed to speak to each other. In fact, I don't think we were allowed to give eye contact with each other. So it was really deep. We ate vegetarian food. That was kind of cool for me. And honestly, in the first day, I already had a revelation just from the first day. And I felt like it hit me really hard. And this was at a time in my life, just to be transparent, where I was really having a tough time with myself. I wasn't feeling enough. I was feeling like others were better and I wasn't enough. And the revelation I had from just this silent experience and experiencing this. And by the way, I just want to tell you, it was interesting. Liz, you mentioned meditating and moving. There was meditation time where we would sit in whatever it was, a temple or whatever, and we would sit and we would meditate. And then there was also moving meditation time. We're in like this gym type room, and it was so bizarre because we're like walking straight across the room, but nobody's looking at each other and we're silent. It was a very unusual scene, especially if you're just an average person. But it was really cool. So my revelation was literally, I said, you know what? She's okay. I'm okay. He's okay. I'm okay. It's just okay. And that was it. It was that deep. It was like, I mean, it seems really simple, but like everything is okay. Like, you just can be, and it's okay. And you're okay. I know it sounds so simple. I'm saying it, I'm thinking to myself, but it would seem so profound at the moment, and it still is profound. And that was a big aha moment for me. So I did wanted to share that. So Cameron went off screen. So whoever's next, Cameron is gonna. You're on.
Sometimes I just make room for everybody else. I gotta make some space and make sure everybody's seen. So I think what you're saying is so important. I know Adam wants to jump in. Take us through a couple of these things. Keep in mind, Adam, it's 2:48. We're gonna try to keep on time here and have a chance for everybody to kind of have last statements around 2:55 to 57 here, but we can kind of brief and go round robin on a couple more of these points. Go ahead, Adam.
Yes, sir. Understood. So first of all, allow me to conclude that one key point, because meditation is where it begins, and there's no right way to do it. There's no wrong way to do it. But it's interesting that for many of us, and a lot of the comments we heard is in regards to moving and doing something and listening to something or interacting with something. And really what we want to do when we meditate, at least for those of us who are already choppy, your thoughts are choppy, your life is choppy. You need silence, you need calm, and just sit and meditate. That action is known as zazen, to sit and meditate. To achieve enlightenment, just sitting and focusing only on your breath. Breathing is an act that we do subconsciously, consciously. We can choose to take a breath. We will breathe if we're not even thinking about it. To take control of that, to completely focus on that, to perfect your ability to breathe. Remember that Bodhidharma didn't move to achieve enlightenment. He sat and breathed, and that was the act. So that would be the first thing I would encourage everybody to do when you start with meditation. Remember, there's no wrong way to do it, whatever works for you. But if you can, start with silence, start with sitting, start with nothing around you, nothing penetrating you. Go from there. So then once you've wiped that computer clear, now you can start doing some actions, some activities that will help format the thinking that you'd like. So those actions that we teach, the National Cause Exercise Professionals curriculum, what I learned in the Hoishinkan, Okinawan Kempo Karate dojos, starts after meditation is affirmations, and then visualization. And then there's a technique known as anchoring, where you can connect a certain feeling that we have, the Zen state, if you will, the zone that an athlete can get into, the crystal clear thinking of the executive, making difficult decisions instantaneously. That can be achieved with the snapping of a finger, with the clapping of a hand, with a word or a statement or an action that connects you or anchors you to that feeling. And then the final stage that we advocate is prayer. Prayer brings all of that together. And again, this is a personal thing. There's no right or wrong way to do it. There's so many different paths to the top of the mountain. But when you get there, the view will be the same.
Did you have a piece that you wanted to ask people to kind of go round robin on, Adam, in terms of that?
Well, this has been a fantastic conversation. The study of mind power, there's so many different avenues people can take. And we can go around the group and ask, we've heard different books and different teachers and different journeys. But remember, for each and every one of you out there listening today, you find your path. But on that path, you will find others and join with them and share with them. To help others, that is the journey. To achieve true mind power is to help others.
I love
so
it.
Maybe we can go around the group and talk about that.
Yeah, I'd love to see how everybody's kind of seen some breakthroughs in others. I'd love to hear in the comments how you've sort of seen it. I know for me, the piece that it's incredible. Steve was talking about, like, it's the silly stuff, but you're breathing your whole life. And, it takes going to a, conference or convention. There's a speaker on stage and they're sitting there. Okay, close your eyes and literally change your heart rate with your breathing. And you're like, whoa, it's so simple. And I think sometimes for us, we're sitting there in the middle of our day. It feels like the sky is falling. There's emails, there's angry people. And it's so tough to just do the simple things.
And if I may, I'll just add, Cameron, that there is a physiological action for what we call correct breathing. In sports and in singing, there's what's called diaphragmatic breathing. There's a muscle deep inside of us called the transverse abdominis. And when this contracts, it creates core stability. So you hear people talk about, I got to train my core. What you really want to train is your diaphragm or your transverse abdominis. You train that through breathing. So it's interesting that in our field, the fitness field, we teach this action to create core strength, better balance, better human performance. And this is the same breathing technique of the mind power training of martial arts.
Yeah, I love it. And explain real quick, because I had this question. Bernard was saying, I practice my kata when I have the chance. So I'm not the martial arts guy in the room. So what is kata?
Kata is basically a form. It's a series of movements that you practice. And the analogy I like to use with kata, because kata is oftentimes disparaged in today's fighting world. A lot of the MMA world will say, I'd rather practice basic punching, kicking, grappling. And there's value to that, obviously. But kata is like learning a classic speech. It's like learning the words of Shakespeare or some other great scholar or writer. And then you practice saying their speech. By doing that, you'll become a better speaker. You become a better thinker. So too is the action of doing kata. When you do kata, you connect with your breathing, the actions, the movements, and so you become a better martial artist. The thought is that in a combative situation, the techniques that you've practiced in kata will come immediately out of you. Kata is moving Zen.
And I know Steve wants to jump in on kata as well, but I want to get the other other sort of direction on this. I know for me, it's, and Bob talked to the routine in the morning. I feel like I have my sort of routine with my exercise. Liz, if you would, because I know you teach yoga, and that's a big deal. Do you have something similar in sort of what you teach that's in line with kata for those that aren't in the martial arts world?
Yeah, I mean, I teach Kundalini Yoga, which is the yoga of awareness, and it uses breath work, movement, and intention, and really it's about strengthening your nervous system so that we anchor, we root into the earth, and then we rise and we open our hearts so we can like live at a higher center. And it's powerful. It's everybody can do it. It's not, you don't have to be able to put your foot over your head. It's for everybody. It's for all, for all house owners and workers and everybody, all ages, all fitness levels. And I feel like it's just like I teach a class or I go to a class and I come out and I feel like I've had a massage therapy, took a hike, all the things wrapped in one. So
right.
I can't, it's just, it's an amazing practice. And again, it's a lot of breath work. So it's controlling the breath and like exactly like what Adam was saying, strengthening your diaphragm, but also activating your vagus nerve, which activates your relaxation, which taking a couple of deep breaths, you can activate that.
Yeah, I had a feeling you'd have a great answer, which is why I wanted to go over with you, because I think there's folks that are like, I don't know, I don't know if I'm going to be practicing martial arts forms, but I think, I would love to, right? And maybe there's somebody that prefers the yoga side of it, so I'd love to have both of those. Steve, I know you wanted to jump in, and then I know Bob and Julian also wanted to get in here. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I don't want to dominate, but I will just say for the fun of it. So kata was back in the day, as far as I read, was a way that many times there were different cultures, like the Chinese occupied certain areas, the Japanese, Japan occupied, and it was ways that the villagers were able to disguise what they were practicing in these movements that they were doing that looked much like a dance, but it was actually them secretly practicing their art, and it's a imagined fight, if you will, and it's just interesting. I just also want to mention one thing. Adam talked about it, and I know Liz can relate to this as well. He was talking about the abdominal, and in the arts we were taught to face the abdomen or your chi, which is right below the belly button, your energy level, right below the belly button, in the direction of the force and where you're trying to go. And I've actually applied that in real life, because when you're trying to if you're talking to somebody, you want to keep your focus to that person. It's not attacking, but it's your energy is going towards that person, and you never want to try to keep it off to the side. You want to be straight on with that person. So anyway, the fun stuff. We can go into
that's my man, Steve. He brings it back to networking. We are on LinkedIn. This is the Master Connection series.
Gotta bring it back.
That core energy so that you're networking, right? Absolutely. All right, we're gonna go over to Bob, and then we'll follow that up with Julian, and then we'll go DeeJae and Liz. We're at that point of the show. I really want your questions, right? So we're getting towards the end here. For those that have questions about releasing the power of your mind, we've talked a lot about meditation today. We talked a lot about books. We've talked about quieting the mind so that you can actually power through. If you have questions about how to do this, you got some amazing professionals here that have got the mind over the body thing going. You got folks that have broken through. They know how to schedule. They know how to get the most out of their day. Please reach out with them, connect with them. I love to see some of the networking in the comments. Continue to do that. I love it when I see people setting up meetings in the comments. You guys are awesome. Really, really, really enjoy seeing that in the audience. Please let us know if you got some questions. Get them in here. We'll try to get them answered during the live show. But if we don't get them answered during the live show, I know Steve, I, and several of these panelists will be going through the comments. So get them in there. We'll definitely get responses back to you. With that said, Bob, not only get your point in, but also kind of closing statements, advice for folks, just really briefly, and then how people can get a hold of you. I have definitely put a link to your LinkedIn down below in the post. That's for everybody, but who should be reaching out to you and how should they get in touch with you? Really briefly. Go ahead, Bob.
Thanks, Cameron, for giving me the opportunity. You can catch me on LinkedIn for sure. I'm also at BDepa, BDEPA on Twitter, Instagram, most of the social platforms. Best place to get a hold of me there. Appreciate DMs are always open. I love this conversation, and the reason why I love this conversation is because it's multifaceted. We have a bunch of people here talking and contributing. I'm loving the audience participation in the comments. I keep looking, and we're on this in our screen there. It's constantly moving there, the audience participation. So that's great. I would love to hear their questions too. And so for me, the idea of a group and community is so important. And we're having this conversation specifically about introspection and meditation. And I think a lot of people, and I don't have, this is strictly anecdotal, but I don't have specific empirical evidence, but I think a lot of people do well when they have a sense of community. And so even though we're talking about introspection and meditation, I think it's also I think there's power in numbers. And when Adam was talking about quieting the mind, although we're trying to turn off all of the other things and distractions in our world, which is very, very important, we need to do that. I think being able to actually do that and experience it with other people is really, really powerful. And so my wife and I are part of an organization. It's a mission organization, and we go on these trips every summer. And one of the things that we do, it's not super fancy. It's nothing special. Like Adam kind of said, there's no perfect way to do it. But what we do is we take 5 minutes. And because of the nature of the work that we're doing over a 12-day period, it's up early to bed late at night, working all day. It's just basically constant chaos. Now, it gets you away from the regular world and the distractions that we have, but you're still working really hard. You're pretty mentally, physically, and emotionally drained at the end of the day. So we take 5 minutes in complete silence, but still with the group. So we might scatter a little bit so we're not breathing on each other, but we take 5 minutes in complete silence. And whatever you need to think about and kind of be at one with your spirit and in prayer, if you will, during that period of time. And that 5 minutes by far is the most powerful, important part of the day. Out of all the other great work that we do in 12 days, it's 5 minutes a day. And that is the most important part so that we can be productive and have clear minds for the rest of the day. So my encouragement to you for people is that if you're looking to make yourself more productive, you're fighting the work-life balance model or work-life harmony, you may hear people call it. If you're kind of in that situation, my suggestion is to just start with 5 minutes. If you can make it to 6, 7, 8, 10 minutes or more, meditate for an hour. I know some people that can get that far, but you got to start early, start small. And I would say that is the most powerful time of the day. That little bit of time will make all the rest of your time that much more worthwhile. So thank you guys for having me on this. This is an awesome discussion. I love hearing from all these different people. Hit me up on LinkedIn and the direct messages. Would love to talk about it. I've been doing a lot of research recently, and I'm working on a book about some of these topics and how it relates to our health and long-term wellness and our finances. So thank you for having me. Appreciate it. I hope to learn more from you guys, and I'm sure we'll have more great conversations. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Julian, we're flying over to you.
Hey, well, thank you guys. It's interesting. I listened to everything. One of the things that came to mind as I was listening is that there was this quote from a brain surgeon who said, "I've done over 100 brain surgeries, and not once did I ever find a bad childhood in them." And I think that's really a quote that just resonates because it really is something we choose through our own human experience to hold on to things that we have in our hearts and minds that just continue to be reminding us of our past. And from Joe Dispenza's trainings, he talks heavily about we live in our past if we don't take control of our subconscious. And just so you know, I wanted to answer Dee's question that came up, DeeJae's question. She was asking about the subconscious. And I just wanted to say, the conscious is really here for three things. The conscious is focused on the body, like basically if I'm cold or not, the environment, if this is a safe space, and time. That's your conscious, but the subconscious actually carries 4 billion bits of information per minute. And it's taking all these things in from your environment, from your thoughts, and from your perceptions, from your past. And all it's there to do is non-biased. All it is to do is to keep you safe, comfortable, and familiar. And understand the key to that is familiar, because we will repeat the same behaviors consciously because the subconscious is making sure that we have the same results, whether they be good or bad. And so I wanted to make sure that that's something I just brought up. So DeeJae, I'd love to talk to you more about that. But what I wanted to also say is that the brain is really one of those most powerful things. And even now, American Medical Journal stated that over 80% of all illnesses begin with stress, and stress, unforgiveness, and the ability to hold on to things that were hurting you. And so we find that we really should take ownership of our own brains. We should be cognizant of what's being infused in our brains. Breathing and meditation is a way to be cognizant of your own body and brain and mind, I should say, not brain. So the goal is really to focus on the fact that you are your own mind and you have control over it. And I just love the fact that we do this. I would love to get in touch with people. I have a program that I'm developing for leaders on this, how to communicate with their peers, how to communicate with their spouses and friends and family, but more importantly, how this mindset subconsciously impacts your brand and how people feel about you personally. Not what you say, but how they feel. It's a big difference. So finding me is on LinkedIn. My first name is is Fred. I don't use it, but it says F.Julian Sado. And it's really because of my childhood and my father pulling a gun on me when I was 13 or almost 15 years old, I should say, and me reinventing myself and how that stress became a strength for me. That struggle became a strength and it helped me become who I am today. And I help people understand how they can reflip the script, and I call it demo. They can change the demo, redo it, and actually see why they have these things that happen in their life and how they can benefit from it today. And so you can find me on LinkedIn. You can also find me on YouTube by just looking up Julian Sado, or go to pivot2change.com. So thank you guys for having me. I had a great time. You guys are awesome. I look to be connected to you all. I'm going to be bugging you, be reaching out to you. Call me, answer the phone. I'll be doing that to you soon. Thanks.
I'm flying over to DeeJae. I was trying to catch you. She was so animated. She was like, yep.
No, it's great. Okay, so let me just finish with, wow, where do I go? Notes. Power of the mind, quiet moments. That should be anywhere. So when we talk about meditation, that's a loose subjective term. I would like to add that. Yeah, that could be a moment in your car. That could be a moment at the table. That could be a moment in the shower. Just taking that time to let the thoughts in and let the thoughts out. Another part of, I believe, in meditation is not hanging on to those thoughts, but if they come in, you let them right on out, but you focus back on your breathing. You focus back on that intent of the breathing to really connect the mind and the body. Practicing try. So I talked a little bit about try. For me now, moving forward, maybe practicing is something that I incorporated. Practicing yoga. Now I'm trying yoga, I'm practicing yoga. So something that just constant evolvement, growth. And another way to look at it, I could keep going. Being aware of what you let in around you. So those environmentals, I know Liz touched on that, but that's a huge component around it too, right? And those stories and what information we let into our subconscious and that space around us. Within our senses. So I think that's something important that we have to make note of and that we really didn't touch on. And positive affirmations, I find that's another way to implement the power of the mind. It's not so much meditation, but just reinforcing those positive affirmations. I know that could be kind of like controversial here or there, but paying attention to the ones that trigger you, right? Because that's where the magic happens, is paying attention to the ones that you couldn't repeat, the ones that you couldn't say, the ones that really hit you hard. Why did those trigger you? And really digging into those. Because if you can say it and it feels good, then great. It's not doing the work. It's the ones that you cannot actually get out or believe or feel. And then working on that for yourself within your own power of your mind to make yourself stronger. I'll leave it at that.
Love it. And I've included, there's a link in the chat here for everybody that's on the show today. Folks can go there to that link. And our buddy Sean Lashley from 10,000 Cards is hooked up, so you can find everybody really easily. So go to that. I'll post it again in the chat to connect with everybody. Liz, talk to us.
Okay. Thank you. No, what an honor, what a privilege. And I could talk about this stuff all day and night. It just lights up my heart. Because I think, again, self-care is the root of all healthcare. And I agree with you, Julian, that, diseases are, I think, even almost like 90% caused by stress. Practice tuning into yourself, tuning into your senses around you, and then tuning into what you're feeling in your body, and like take a break when you need a break, take care of yourself, leave the room before you say something that, like Steve was alluding to in the beginning, but that you might regret saying. Pause, or don't react, respond, try to respond before reacting. And I teach yoga classes, join me, try it out. If you don't like it, that's fine. But I would love to see any of you. I believe that, we are here to love ourselves. I think that people will never rise above the opinion we have of ourselves, and no one can ever love us more than we love ourselves. And I believe that it's our birthright to be happy and healthy and holy. And I want that for everybody. So if you need help, if you have that self-talk that's still, kind of going on in your head, reach out for some help, because believe me, I know, because if I was able to transform that inner terrorist that I had into someone who loves yourself, anybody can. So, just keep the faith, and peace and love and light to everybody.
Yeah, I love that, Liz, silencing that inner terrorist, because we got some inner voices that'll do us some real serious damage. Just before I let Adam go, Liz, where can folks find you?
Oh, sorry. Just Liz at lizgabor.com. Email me and I can give you any information on stuff. And I also have a course coming out this summer, The Ageless Advantage, Your Roadmap to Sexy Savvy Vitality.
Thank you, Liz. Adam, jump in here. And then Steve, and we'll close it out. Go ahead, Adam.
Just want to say thank you all very much for the opportunity to be here. It was a pleasure, an honor to be with all these terrific panelists, and Cameron and Steve, thank you very much for having me.
Oh, thank you, sir. Mr. Steve Spiro, our Master Connector, sir. Take us to the end here. You're on mute. 2020 theme song. There we go.
Did that once. All right, we all got to do it one time.
Now I don't feel so bad about all my times on mute.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, everyone's incredible, right? We could go on forever on this one, right? I just want to say one little point here. I've been trying to say it a while ago. Oh, I should watch what I say. Don't say that. I'm not dying to say that. But I wanted to say this, and that is the brain is negative by default. It always is negative. You could blame Adam and Eve back in the day, or you could just say it's just the negative forces, but we are negative by default. And unless the way it was described is we're like an SUV parked on a hill. And unless you apply something like an emergency brake, the handbrake or the foot brake, it's going to roll backwards. And that's the nature of our brain, is to be negative. So we always have to work on this. And if you don't do anything by default, you're going to be negative. So definitely my advice is, again, remember, we want to be the light here, right? So if we want to be positive and we want to help make this world a better place, we have to work on being positive. It's not going to just happen by default. So again, appreciate everybody. This is tremendous. Love being a light. And I know Cameron and I both share that, and that we want to really be the light. So we're going to count down and get us out and have your day back. And again, thank you for everybody. Adam, thanks for being a guest, a surprise guest here, and all the panelists, Julian, Bob, DeeJae, Liz, and of course my man Adam, Cameron. Thank you again. So let's count down.
We're going to ask everybody to unmute. We're going to do this countdown from 5. Steve is going to lead us in it, and then we're going to say "crush it" at the end, and that's how we end the show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Crush it! Have a great week, everybody. We are back next week with another topic. We have, if I can get down to it, I should have had it ready, relating to many different kinds of personalities. Steve, do you have the list of folks offhand?
Yeah, right now we've got John Hill, Lori Rifkin, and Karina Burton so far.
So make sure you're getting into that event. Make sure you sign up. We're so excited to bring this. Thank you, everybody in the comments. The comments are still rolling in. We love you. Yolanda, crush it. Love this series. Ken says, hail to positivity peeps. Gregory Austin says, loves this series. Our brains are always searching for danger by nature, hence the negative outlook. Yeah, we're going to stay positive, right? Alan giving us the happy faces. We appreciate you. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.
Fire up your Friday.
Fired Up Friday
with Steve Spiro, the Master Connector.
I am Steve Spiro, the Master Connector.
Over the next hour of this Master Connection series, we will take a deep dive into the different ways to connect and network effectively.
See us and hear us right now. So LinkedIn, we are on here. We're getting ready.
Hear from experts along with Steve Spiro, who went from being shy and introverted to the Master Connector.